Hello everyone and welcome back to Abundantly Minimal. My name is Sarah and today we're keeping the fun going with our decluttering challenges. If you missed the last decluttering challenge video, that will be linked below. It was the surface clutter challenge, but today it is the sell your stuff challenge. I think this challenge is ultimately so important because many of us might believe or perceive our items to be more valuable than they actually are. And rather than thinking these items are valuable and putting off the process of actually trying to sell them, I would love for us to take action and get some clarity today moving forward so you can get these items out of your space and enjoy the benefits of it being gone. So that being said, let's get into our rules. First, you'll want to walk around your space and identify the items or objects that you are keeping mostly because you know that they could potentially be valuable or you believe them to be so. It doesn't matter what type of item, but anything that you think has a perceived value that you're not saving for any other reason. So these are things you're not getting value out of. If you're enjoying the value of something and you think it can be sold in the future, that's different. We're not trying to focus on that. But those things that you don't want, but you're thinking it could be worth a lot of money. Also, two other things that kind of fit under this umbrella. If you have items that need to be returned, we're very much thinking about them this challenge. Technically, you're not selling them, but if you can return an item and get the money back that you paid, that's even better than selling them, especially if you know that you'll be able to, return that. So we'll include them in this challenge, as well as if you've got items that you're holding on to for financial guilt reasons. You might realize that you should let it go, but you feel resistance to doing so because you paid a lot for it and just didn't get the value out of it that you wanted. Those are also fair game for this challenge, and recouping some of the costs when trying to sell it might help ease the blow, but also that money's long gone. Keeping it is no longer going to make you feel more valuable out of it unless you actually start using it. After you have your items selected, it is time to determine where or how you are going to sell them. And there's a lot of different options here that have both pros and cons no matter which option you choose. For some, they might choose to have a garage sale. Others might choose to take their items to some sort of consignment shop where they are able to sell them at those particular stores for a percentage of the earnings. Some likewise might take it to a shop that they'll pay you, a couple dollars for the item up front just so it gets out of your hands, especially if it's a nicer item but you don't want to go through the process of trying to sell it on your own. And a lot of items will probably be sold online using different tools like eBay, maybe Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, wherever you're at, those type of groups or opportunities. And with the process, each of these are going to be a slightly different mindset for how you tackle an item. And you'd probably want to batch your work on each different type. So if you do plan on doing some sort of garage sale, you'll probably be moving the items to a similar location and taking whatever action steps are needed to setting that up. If you're taking your items to a consignment shop or some local area, you'd probably be packaging them up to transport them to these places, see what they will take or what they will pay for those different items, and taking care of that fairly painlessly. That's one of the quicker ways to go about it. And then if you're going through the online route, it's a little bit more involved up front, but once you learn the basics, then that can be probably the most lucrative because you don't have to go anywhere and you can secure an exact buyer. But there's definitely a lot of factors to consider with that. And that's kind of the option I'll be talking most about today because that's personally what I choose to do when I am selling items. Now, before you go through the work of listing your items, we have a couple key considerations to make. Number one, is the price point worth the time and effort of listing these items? There's a lot of steps involved and labor involved to get an item prepped, photographed, packaged up for mailing, sent to, wherever they need to go. And that time and also costs of the shipping materials as well as mailing it. Obviously, there's usually some compensation for that, but just those add up. And so it's important to make sure all of that is worth the process. And I know in my case, back when I was selling things earlier on, I've got a couple older videos about it, my baseline was $10. As long as something's worth $10, then that's fine. I'm happy to go through the process. Now at this point, I feel like my time's worth more and I've got more things on my plate. So I would say it's more so like $20 to $30 minimum to go through this process. Obviously, it depends upon the object or item in contention, but have some sort of boundary for yourself, because when you calculate, the net cost you'd receive, let's say from eBay after selling something that's like $5, you're hardly making anything, but you probably had to put a decent amount of work in. So just be mindful of that. The other thing too is to make sure the items are worth your while for pricing. How to do that? One of my favorite ways to do this has to do with using eBay and the Just Sold feature. Let me show you here on my screen so you can see it for yourself. I'm on eBay right now. I found a cool pack of like some vintage Star Wars stickers. So I'm gonna plug in those and just show you as that an example. Those might have been the year. When you pull that up, if you go to the side for sold items, you'll check that box. And then after you do that, we can see how much these things sold for, as well as when they sold. So some of these things sold very recently, but also some of them sold for very small price points. And of course, there is a lot of variation here. A lot of these are, very recent. But in things that are older, you can see when was the last time someone bought this and how much did they actually pay. We might think something's worth $100, but if no one's actually willing to pay $100, maybe they're only willing to pay 30 or 40, that's how much it's worth. It's not actually worth 100 because you can't get a buyer to pay you that. So by checking out the sold listings, you can see if something's worth your time and if there's a bunch of others who are selling them. Now, certain items I have sold on Amazon as well, or instead I should say, and those are specific options if I'm selling one used of a book, or Jake sold a bunch of his video games there. That was a helpful option because if you go to whatever the book page is, you say have one to sell, you click on that, and then from there you're able to list your own and set a price point. And we would generally set it as one of the more affordable price points just to encourage a buyer to purchase it more recently. That's just another option. After you've decided that you've got an item that is ready to sell and worth selling, you are going to first take a picture of it and probably take a picture from multiple angles, especially if it's something larger. Once you have your photos, you are going to add those with any details you've got to the listing of whatever your preferred site is, and then you just wait. And with the waiting game, it can be helpful to set a goal for yourself. It does depend how urgent it is that you get the item out of your house, of course. So just to give an example, when we redid our office, we got some new furniture that's a better fit for the space and more aesthetically what we want. And there are 2 pieces of wooden furniture that we are no longer needing. And so I did list both of those online for sale. We listed a wooden dresser for $100 on Craigslist, and we also listed a end table for $100 on Craigslist. Now, with that so far, we have not had any interest, unfortunately. I did lower the price point down to $75 for each piece. I may lower the price again. I also may put it on Facebook Marketplace. I don't actually do a lot on Facebook besides running my Facebook groups for like Better with Less and my decluttering programs. So that was why I hadn't initially gone for that, but I could do that, as well as I may switch the listing to a free listing at some point, just with hopes of someone picking up these items. Alternatively, I could at some point consider just trying to schedule a pickup. I just wanted to walk you through the process that, it's not always super successful. And so there's certainly, some mindset shifts that need to happen as you're going through the process of trying to sell different items. But the challenge for this time is to think about the items you've intended to sell, take those next steps so you're able to move forward, whether that's researching the price, photographing the items, gathering them up and figuring out what you're going to do with them, taking some sort of action. And again, returns count, and any financial guilt pieces also count in this challenge. So please let me know in the comments below if you have anything that you want to try to sell, as well as you can give us an update on how these things went, or even talking about some of your own past experiences with selling some of your goods or exchanging them in different contexts. I really appreciate you watching this challenge, but again, if you missed our last challenge, Surface Clutter Challenge, you can do that here. And be sure to subscribe. I have so many more fun challenges and other videos coming up to help you live your best life with less, so I hope you'll join us. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.